retirement planning can feel a little like driving in the fog. If you've ever done that, you're looking for those lane lines. You can't put your beam, your headlights on high beam, or else you're going to blind yourself and maybe cause an accident. The thing is about retirement, can you always see through it? Can you always see that finish line? Probably not, unless you're the almighty God, and then you know what the finish line is. But, it shouldn't stop you from planning. And that's where we want to talk with you today here on this portion of the program of Retire Colorado with Alicia and Josh Lewis. I'm Bruce Steinbrock. Reach out to the team, 970-446-1234. Josh, again, not being able to see the finish line. I mean, even, we're asked to do this in our careers all the time. Hey, what do you want to do in the next 5 years? What do you want to do in the next 10 years? And we don't always know. We can, give a prediction. That's about it. But patience and planning and guidance, well, they help you in your career. The same can be said in our retirement plan, can it not?
Absolutely. This is I think, a commonality with a lot of people, right? Where it's this idea of, hey, we're going somewhere, we're sort of moving towards this collective goal, but there's a lot of things that we don't quite, necessarily see or understand. And I think that causes people to, pull back on certain things. And if you cut the last segment, one of those things might be underspending in retirement. That's a commonality we see with a lot of people. And that's because they don't know what's going to happen, right? And so we get sort of fearful. And I think living in that fear, we're not really justifying that whole point of retirement, but we're also worried about all these things. And one thing I always drive home with the families that we get to work with is that the thing we're worrying about should never be the thing that we should actually worry about, and I always cite this statistic where you look at, deaths in the U.S., the number 3 cause of death in the United States is medical error. Right. So many times people are worried about, medical diagnosis, this, that, or the other thing. They go in and get it treated. It's actually the treatment that then causes something that, may actually cause them to die prematurely. So it's this idea of like, hey, we could create this laundry list of things to be worried about, right? I watch the news and I probably read more news than most 3 people, combined. I know of a lot of risks. I could tell you about a lot of things maybe you should be worried about, but at the end of the day, what's the probability of those things happening? It's pretty low. It's not 0, but it's pretty low. So I think kind of moving forward with this idea of, we have to have some level of optimism, but we also want to have a plan that goes with that optimism. And Alicia's smiling over there because I am Mr. Optimism.
When she said you read more than 3 people combined, she was like, yeah, that's right.
Yep.
And I think, it kind of comes back to this idea of like, what's the point? Are we just going to sit in our couch and like worry about all these what ifs? Or are we going to go out and live our best life and know that, hey, my team at Lehman Lewis Financial Group put together this retirement plan that addresses all of these different things. So yeah, we can't, address the end of the world, but that's only going to happen once, folks. And it's not likely to be in your lifetime. So you got to look at things and say, hey, I'm going to step out in faith to a certain extent, and I'm going to be optimistic, and I'm going to do all these things that I want to do, because if you're not doing them now, when? And I think that's a bigger point to look at too, is retirement's a finite period of time. If you keep putting things off and putting them off, you're never going to actually do them. And to us, that's just a huge miss. That's not what retirement should be about.
Yeah, but Alicia, your facial expression's classic.
I know. I can't help it because he's like, be optimistic. I'm like, I really hope we're recording this so that I can play this back. And
by the way, we are both video and audio.
AKA maybe send that clip to Josh. Be optimistic.
I'm optimistic. I don't have to hear about this again.
But again, I think that's where we're doing a lot of that planning of is showing people, hey, this is the worst case scenario and you're still fine. Right? This is, so again, we're hoping for the best. We're being optimistic, but we're also planning for the worst. Like all the what ifs, we talk through those things so that people know that we have thought of it planned for it and that they're covered, they're okay. And so it's not that miss of saying, well, I'm going to ration my money because what if? Well, hey, we already have that plan. We already have that, mathed in.
Yeah. And so I'm going to talk about in my own scenario. So my dad died when he was 72, and my mom lived 19 years without my dad. But they were both born in the 30s. So what happened in the 30s? The dirty 30s. Again, the Depression. And so they're raised by parents who were young adults, 20, years old. And what were they doing? They were reining it in. And so my parents, they never lived outside their means. They were very good at saving. They wouldn't be real proud of me and my close to 40 when I was upside down almost. But, and I know my mom wanted to leave money to us kids, and that was meaningful to her. But it's still, something cost $50. It was like, oh, it's $50. And it's just like, Mom, you've got $50. It's not going to hurt. And so how do you help people prepare for little hiccups that are going to come, but also still enjoying that money, Alicia?
I mean, that's where we actually show them. We show them the numbers and we show them, hey, let's just pretend, whatever it is that might really be of concern to them. And typically it's probably not the $50. Actually, I take that back. A lot of times it is the $50, right? Because that actually adds up to the monthly income where, and I'm not sure, I'll just share this little story. We have a client, and I know I've shared this before, but it just always comes to mind, where they were a bit frugal. I don't want to say cheap, but
frugal is a good word.
Borderline.
That's the PC version.
Borderline. And when we started doing the planning for them, I could kind of see why. They just had no plan, and they were kind of didn't even know how much they could spend, how much would be safe to spend, that sort of thing. And we did their full retirement plan for them. And I'll never forget, they came in for a strategy session one month, and she was like, I have to buy this stupid off-brand soda. And she was kind of like, and I don't like it. And I want the name brand soda. And so we were just like, well, then buy the name brand soda. And she's like, well, he won't let me, because it's like adding up to, and he even said, he was like, well, if you buy everything that's expensive, then our budget is going to be through the roof. And I was like, okay, let's talk about that. Let's talk about, what does it look like if your budget was $2,000 more a month? And he was like, what would we buy for $2,000? And she was like, I can think of $2,000 worth of things to buy.
Diet Coke.
And so we started, Diet Coke. And so we started showing them, actually showing them those numbers. And it was so cool, where she was so excited, but also to kind of watch him see that freedom of a
light bulb moment.
Oh, we would be okay. And it's been so fun to watch them go into a more free lifestyle and when I say free, I mean their spending is much more free. And actually they've taken more increases in budget, which is so good for them because they are doing the things that they want to do. But on the other hand, we think about some of the big expenses where people might be really worried, well, what if we have to XYZ $100,000? And we're like, well, let's talk about that. Let's show it in the plan. And then we're like, see, it doesn't actually wreck your plan. You can still live life and have this big expense. Stop stressing about that. But how could you stop stressing about that if you don't have a plan? If you can't see it, if you can't run the numbers and actually see, okay, that still works. I would understand people rationing and being more frugal if they didn't have that. And that's where I'm like, you don't have to live like that. Absolutely, you do not have to live like that. But it's also not just like, well, then let's just be real risky with our money and let's just, all this. No, it really takes that intentional planning, making sure that we're looking at everything from your income, taxes, inflation, the what ifs. What is your budget? What is your other Social Security? Like all the things, all of that matters. And so I say all that to say this, come talk to us. Like, if you don't have that, this is what we do every day. Like, I love what we do. It's so fun. It is life-changing. And that's why I like it, because I see people actually being able to come alive and live life and have those light bulb moments like what you said.
Yeah.
And enjoy it.
Folks, I'm going to send you the website because you can find out so much about the team. You can schedule a 15-minute phone call. Just when you hit that little menu button, there's home, there's about the team, there's services. You can listen to past episodes of the show. There are events that Alicia, Josh, and the team put on. There's a contact button. And again, schedule a 15-minute phone call. It's all available on the website, LehmanLewis.com. They've spent so much time over the last couple of years making it more and more and more user-friendly. LehmanLewis.com for the team at Lehman Lewis. This is Retire Colorado. Josh, we have about a minute and a half left. So this is kind of a twofold question. Somebody that getting early planning is big, again, finding specific challenges, but tax planning's got to be a part of it. There's so much that we need to plan for when we think of what Alicia was just talking about.
Well, yeah, no, it a lot goes into it, and kind of, again, like you said, starting early, that's going to put you at just a big advantage of not trying to scramble, put things into place, while you're looking at the clock ticking there, so to speak. So looking at all the aspects of that plan and saying, okay, when I retire, here's how much I want to generate an income. Here's what tax bracket that's going to put me in. Here's what my Medicare premiums are going to look like. I want to account for, increases every year of 3 to 5% for inflation. I want to look at, front end spending in my retirement to really maximize those go-go years. So kind of having some of those things in place is going to help set you up for success. But I think also having those conversations maybe with your spouse or figuring out what do you want to do in retirement? What do you want your lifestyle to look like? Having kind of those things teed up in your mind so that when we come to the table with our thoughts and ideas, we're able to address kind of your goals and objectives there to make sure that, hey, you are living your best life in retirement.
Folks, start the plan with Lehman Lewis. The plan includes your income, the investable money that you have that's still growing, tax planning, healthcare and long-term care planning, and then that legacy component. It's 5 parts coming together as part of one plan. Reach out today, 970-446-1234. 970-446-1234. More Retire Colorado straight ahead.